Fuck ICE. I said what I said because this isn't about immigration. It's about impunity, about what happens when the government breaks its own social contract with its own citizens. If you're more offended by my language than you are by their violence, then you are part of the problem. Let's get it. Hey, welcome back to another episode. This one's going to be spicy, and it needs to be. Why? Because under this administration, fear has become the policy. What do I mean by that? Well, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or otherwise known as ICE, is no longer a viable or legitimate arm of the Department of Homeland Security. Many would say it never was. Under this leadership of Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, and the wannabe Nazi Gregory Bovino, ICE has become a secret police force, more concerned with quotas than the Constitution. And what's driving this chaos, we might ask? Well, aside from a real penchant for racism and white Christian nationalism, which are a big part of it, is an arbitrary quota of detaining with the intent to deport 3,000 immigrants a day, up from 1,000 immigrants a day in 2017 under Trump's first term. So what we can see is that there has been this ballooning effect in this second term of Donald Trump in regards to ICE and what their intention is on the streets of American cities. Not only have the quota, that's just a made up quota, not only has that ballooned, but their budget has also ballooned over 300% from 7 billion in 2017 to 21 billion mid 2025, with allocations now from the quote unquote big beautiful bill looking to be up to $170 billion over 4 years. That is massive. That is a massive budget. Keep in mind, this budget that is ballooning for ICE, all the while, this administration is again trying to strip health care benefits from average Americans, strip SNAP benefits from average Americans who are struggling to put food on their table. But we have money for ICE. We have money to make ICE one of the most funded, quote unquote, military organizations in the entire nation. And in this fear is the policy mindset of the Trump administration, quote unquote, agents, we find the agents, I'm using quotes here, dressed up in tactical gear, LARPing to some sort of military special forces unit. They have no clear uniform. They have no clear name badges. They have no clear IDs. Their faces are covered. They're driving around in unmarked vehicles because fear is the policy. And again, it's not lost on me that these folks that are wearing these masks are probably the same folks that during COVID were complaining that they couldn't breathe when they were wearing a mask to try to keep their neighbors safe. Now they're out here wearing masks because they don't want to be doxxed. I don't want to be doxxed. It's not about being doxxed. It's about having accountability for the things that you are doing in the streets of our city. Fear is the policy. Here's the issue. The social contract was never supposed to include fear, but here we are. We've gave consent to be governed, not to be hunted. Reminds me of what Senator Alex Padilla out of California said. No government agent in a democracy should hide their identity from the people they serve. And that's a fact. Because when you hide your identity, what you are doing is you are hiding or running from accountability. This isn't about immigration. It's about impunity. And what Donald Trump And this new ICE agency under Christy Noam and the rest of them, what they are trying to do is they are trying to level as much chaos. They are trying to level as much cruelty as they can on the American people with impunity. And what that is creating is a collective trauma. We have a significant problem of collective trauma right now. This collateral damage around these enforced, quote unquote, enforcements of ICE. So in the last 6 months, there's been about 60,000 arrests. Now, listen to me, 71% of those arrests, those folks, 71% of those folks who have been apprehended have no criminal record, zero criminal record. And every detainee on average spends 180 days in detention with no criminal background. Now, remember, they told us and they lied to us. They told us they were going after the worst of the worst: murderers, rapists, drug dealers, hardened criminals. But you tell me if you've seen a video of ICE breaking down the doors of a drug cartel, of Tren de Aragua. Show me the videos. I'd encourage somebody, reach out to me. Show me all the videos you've got of ICE breaking down the doors of a Tren de Aragua drug house. It doesn't exist. They're not doing that. They're looking for people of color on the streets, in courts, in daycare facilities, at school waiting lines, and they are scooping them up off the street with no due process, no warrants, just out there pulling people off the streets and detaining them because they speak a different language, they have a specific accent, or the color of their skin is not lily white. Now, certainly, you've seen the countless videos circulating social media and news sources of this sort of collective trauma that is happening. One that sticks out in my mind that just recently came to light was a man who was in his car clinging to his 2-year-old daughter who is crying, holding on to his wife, whom the ICE agents have surrounded the car, are trying to pull the wife out of the vehicle to detain her. And they are being so aggressive that it appears on camera that the man is literally having a seizure as they are trying to strip this woman from this car, holding on to his 2-year-old daughter. Think about that for a moment. What if it was you? What would you do? How would you feel in that moment? New video has been uncovered of the aftermath of that, where the man is sitting in the car. His wife has been detained, and he is sobbing, holding his daughter, because he has no idea if he will see his wife again or if his wife will hold his daughter again because she has been detained by ICE. This is traumatizing. Recently, here in Oregon, there was a young man, I believe 17 years old, testifying. A young man who looks like of Hispanic ethnicity, testifying about the trauma, about the fear that he has for his family now because of what is happening with ICE. This trauma is going to live on for decades, mind you. It's going to take a lot to unwind this trauma. And that's the point. That's the intention. The trauma, the chaos, the cruelty is the point. There's been any number of headlines that have been out there. ABC News reported 79-year-old U.S. citizen claims ICE agents body slammed him. The Guardian reported car wash owner sues for $50 million after an ICE raid. Another Guardian article, Honduran immigrant dies while fleeing ICE. Multiple people have died while in custody in ICE detention facilities, by the way. The NEA today, children traumatized after parents taken in pre-dawn raids. USA Today said a veteran deported after decades of service. Collective trauma. They don't care about this collateral damage and what it is doing to the American psyche. They are intending for it to do exactly what it's doing. Fear is the point. Fear is the policy. Every single mask, every single raid, every single door kicked in is another tear in the social contract. You might ask yourself, what is the social contract you're talking about? I'm talking about John Locke's social contract theory. This proposes that individuals voluntarily give up some freedoms to a government in exchange for their protection of their natural rights, like life, liberty, and property, or the pursuit of happiness. This agreement, though, is based on the consent of the governed. It creates a government that acts as an impartial judge to enforce laws and to punish violators. So it's the social contract that we have. We will give up some of our rights to be governed as long as the government does not violate those same rights. And here's the deal: when power stops asking for consent, it stops being government and it becomes an occupation. This is just the beginning. They're trying to ramp up efforts. Recently, in the softball 60 Minutes interview that Donald Trump did, he was asked if ICE agents have been going too far when they are slamming pregnant women to the ground, when they're invading preschools and apprehending preschool teachers, when they're showing up into the courts and apprehending folks who are in the process of doing the legal paperwork to become legal citizens of this country, being apprehended in courthouses, being apprehended on farms, being taken into custody just straight off the streets, nor door knocking, going door to door looking for people of color. He was asked, are the agents going too far? And he said, no, I don't think so. I don't think they're going far enough. And then he continues to try to gaslight and make the claim that everyone that is being apprehended is a criminal, is a murderer, is a drug dealer, is, all of these really horrific things. People, mind you, that we would want to be locked up. If we were actually apprehending in a lawful way, following due process, people who are murderers, who are drug dealers, who are actually out there doing significant harm to the citizens of the United States of America, by all means, in the right way, let us lock them up, or let us apprehend them and go through the due process to see what may come of that. But that's not what's not happening here. So I'm a little fired up. You can probably tell. It is not going to go away. It is just getting started. The Department of Homeland Security is recruiting ICE officers using this terminology of quote unquote defend the homeland, or defend the culture, or defend the heritage. Their goal is 10,000 new ICE officers in the next 18 months. What they're doing, they're getting them $50,000 signing bonuses. Now remember, we can't afford to put food on the table. We can't afford to fund SNAP. We can't afford to extend the ACA tax benefits for healthcare. But we want to give $50,000 signing bonuses, probably tax-free signing bonuses, offering upwards of $100,000 for salaries with overtime and bonuses included. Offering loan forgiveness. Remember when they said it was unconstitutional for the Biden administration to forgive student loans? That's what they're doing here to recruit ICE officers, forgiving student loans and other loans. They're saying to the folks, they've lowered the standards. You don't need a degree. They've lowered the standards. There's no age cap here. No adequate training for these folks. Just come and quote unquote be a great patriot and defend the homeland. This is how they're recruiting. Why? Because it's ramping up. It's ramping up so that it can be Trump's private army. And where are they getting these people? I ask myself this question regularly. Where are these people coming from? Are these the people that were pardoned on January 6th? The J6ers that were pardoned? The 1,600 J6ers that were pardoned? Did they tell them when they pardoned them, like, now we've got a job for you? Is this the 3%ers or the Proud Boys, these white nationalist, neo-Nazis that are out here in our streets? Cowards? Is that who these folks are? Is that why they're covering their faces so they can't be linked back to being these J6ers or these 3%ers or these cowardly Proud Boys? And not only that, they're using like Nazi styled, white nationalist styled imagery to try to recruit people into being a part of ICE. I'm bringing this up. I'm sure you've heard about it from other people, but I've got to share my angst about it. And I'm bringing it up because here's the deal. This is just the beginning. And we, as the American citizens, must not be silent. Silence is complicity. And we cannot be silent. They are attacking our communities. They are leveling fear and chaos and cruelty against our neighbors. And we cannot be silent. Silence is complicity. Why? Because this isn't just about immigration, it's about impunity. It's about what happens when the government breaks its own social contract with its people. And that's why I'm here to say, fuck ICE. Tell me what you think about it. Leave a comment below. Give me your feelings on how ICE is growing, the tactics that ICE is using. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please subscribe, please like, and again, comment, share this. It helps with the algorithm as we grow this channel. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.